Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. It is December. Let's take a look at what new games you can look forward to playing this month. Kicking things off, we have got Cloudheim, an action-adventure game that blends chaotic physics-based combat with open-world exploration, RPG progression, a pretty cool visual style, if I say so myself, and some good old-fashioned loot hunting. So Steam actually tells me it's similar to both Enshrouded and Path of Exile 2, apparently, which are two of my most played games of the past year or so. So yeah, I'm pretty hopeful here, keeping my fingers crossed. The gameplay trailers I've seen look fairly neat as well. So yeah, this basically seems like an action combat adventure game. You go around exploring these open spaces, fighting enemies, taking on large bosses, and collecting loot in the process. There are multiple class archetypes to choose from. You've got the Rune Blade, which is your magic spellcaster, does healing and elemental damage. The Breaker is a strength-based class with big weapons and AoE attacks. The Sentinel is a tank equivalent using shields, area healing, and a bunch of crowd control abilities. And then you've got the Ranger. This is your assassin, lots of mobility skills and high burst damage. So these aren't permanent choices apparently. The game lets you swap classes whenever. Each of these come with their own progression tied to leveling up certain weapons and stats. And according to the description on Steam, Cloudheim features spectacular combo-driven combat in a destructible world where ancient beings lie dormant and corruption spreads. You'll harness powerful abilities and craft ever-evolving weapons to unlock new skills and devastating combos, exploring mysterious islands and shifting dungeons from your flying turtle base, the Odin Shell. And that turtle base is essentially your hometown. This starts off small and will be grown over time as you progress, expanding in size and adding new stations for the game's fairly in-depth crafting system. Crafting does play a big role in this game. You'll be collecting resources to craft and upgrade weapons, as well as various items and potions for the 4 classes. Also, they've got this entire system of shopkeeping. You are setting up these stands for NPC characters to come by and purchase the things that you've collected. It seems like it's just a means of earning gold beyond just simply selling your junk to vendors. As for the gameplay and exploration, they say you'll be adventuring across diverse islands and ever-changing dungeons filled with enemies, puzzles, and valuable loot to be discovered, from the icy tombs of Frostveldia to the blistering sun of Dust Langer. Honestly, this looks pretty interesting. I'm gonna give this a go. I think Cloudheim will be coming to Steam Early Access on December the 4th. There is also a demo available if you want to give the game a try before purchasing it. I don't know how many of you out there played Jurassic Park Trespasser back in the day, but it is one of the games from my childhood that is still like vividly stuck in my mind. You wake up abandoned on this island. Well, actually, I think there's a plane crash, and then you wake up abandoned on this island with very few resources, surrounded by deadly dinosaurs, and you just go around sneaking, attempting to not be spotted and eaten. It was a fantastic game. Absolutely loved it. Well, this next game on the list reminds me almost exactly of that. Ferocious is a survival FPS adventure where you are stranded on a dangerous island full of mercenaries. There's an added twist, dinosaurs, and a vibrant hostile ecosystem. It basically just looks like a modern day Trespasser minus the Jurassic Park branding and with some new features and twists. So in Ferocious, we'll be making our way around this massive dangerous island. These are these large zones where you'll be exploring things like ancient ruins, mountains, caves, and various compounds. You'll be traversing through these winding interconnected paths with some Metroidvania style progression blocking, which requires you to find items or tools needed to bypass certain sections. And all the while, you are trying to avoid being eaten by dinosaurs or shot by the various mercenary groups on the island. It is a first-person shooter. You will be finding and crafting an assortment of weapons and tools. And from the gameplay footage that I've seen, gunplay actually looks and sounds pretty decent. There was also a demo not too long ago, which got some fairly positive feedback from what I saw as well. And one really interesting feature of this game is this mind control technology. You have this device that literally lets you command certain dinosaurs. You can use them to help solve puzzles, attack enemies, or even as rideable mounts. I don't know, it sounds kind of neat. Hopefully it plays well. This is a smaller scale game from a indie studio, but I'm pretty hopeful here. Ferocious will be launching on December 4th. It's coming to PC via Steam. Skate Story is this really trippy skateboarding game. Check out the Steam page description here. They say you will ollie, kickflip, and grind your way through the ash and smoke of the underworld as you take on a seemingly impossible quest. Skate fast to destroy demons and save other tortured souls on your journey from fragile beginner to hardened skater. It sounds pretty sick. It goes on to say, playing as the skateboarding demon in the underworld made out of pain and glass. These guys absolutely know their audience. The devil has given you a skateboard with one simple deal. If you want to be freed, you must skate to the moon and swallow it. Is it like, what is this game? So beyond the trippy setting, this actually looks to be a mixture of linear skateboarding game where you're moving through levels, doing tricks along the way, combined with some more open free skate areas. You're going to be grinding rails, popping shove-its, and kicking flips. You know, doing skateboarding stuff, right? Here's a few more lines from the Steam page. You skate your way through the 9 layers of the underworld, cruise through streets and surreal landscapes full of wax ledges, unholy gaps, and tortured demons, push your way through precarious paths, and shred free-form skate spots, discover and create your own challenges as you explore the world and master your board. So there are evidently over 70 tricks in the game to progress and improve, skate trials where you will level up, learn new tricks, and get gear, and there's visual board customization for your decks, your wheels, and your trucks. No bearing customization though, that's kind of a shame, too bad. I don't know, dude, this sounds really cool. This game wasn't on my radar, but when I was checking it out for putting this month's list together, this sounds like, holy crap, this sounds pretty neat. Skate Story will be launching on December 8th and is coming to PC, Mac, Switch, and PlayStation. Also, there is a Steam demo available right now if you want to check it out as well. Ready or not, Ashes of Creation will be stepping into the spotlight this month with its official Steam Early Access release. This is an in-development MMORPG from Intrepid Studios, a game that for quite some time as well has had much of the MMO community hopeful. It pulls inspiration from the likes of ArcAge, hoping to recapture some of that game's magic while also adding its own features, more depth, and systems. The top line description really says it all. Ashes of Creation is an old school take on the modern MMORPG set in a living, reactive world where your choices shape civilization. In this PvX open world sandbox, players will build cities, forge empires, and lay siege to foes. So it's like a traditional old school MMO, but a modern variation of it. Some of the listed key features include a living, breathing world that evolves with player activities. Players will be building and defending cities known as settlements, in the process unlocking new content, quests, and activities as they grow. They've got the mix of PvP and PvE content. There will be large-scale battles, dungeon raids, open world conflicts or open world PvP. There's also sieging of enemy castles, defending trade caravans, and of course venturing into dungeons. These are player-driven realms. Every server will be developing differently depending on the actions of the player base, as you directly influence the growth of settlements, which are essentially player-run towns, also electing mayors, forming alliances, and waging wars against your enemies. The game's got a fairly interesting class system where you can mix and match various archetypes, forming your own interesting combination. There's a big focus on crafting and the economy, and it's a handcrafted world full of unique biomes. That S at the end there doing some really heavy lifting, as from what I understand, there's only a handful of biomes in the game at the moment. I don't want to poison the well here, but I do want to address kind of the conversation around this game, which has been mixed, leaning negative in the past couple of years, especially this Steam release here. Now, seeing as the game is no longer locked behind what was a multi-$100 alpha key paywall, that now means the floodgates are open, and you're likely going to see the largest player count to date Ashes has ever seen. So with this comes new levels of stress on the servers, but that aside, probably more importantly, a whole huge new audience getting their first look and hands-on time with the game. And in terms of how we expect this to go, it's kind of a toss-up. As usual, I hope for the best. I'm always looking forward to new MMOs to get stuck into, and I want this to work out. I want to jump in, play it, and have a blast. However, according to many of the hardcore devoted Ashes of Creation fans, the people who did spend hundreds of dollars to play the game early over the course of this past year, we might want to keep expectations in check. Even the people who are most out there waving the flag of Ashes of Creation, wanting this game to succeed, even they are expressing uncertainty about how this Steam release is going to go. In fact, the majority opinion that I've seen since this game was announced that it would be coming to Steam this month has been that it's absolutely not even close to ready, and launching on Steam right now could be a huge mistake. The TLDR pretty much being that it's still very much an alpha, has a lot of rough edges, and not anywhere near enough content. Of course, it's not finished. We know it's not finished. It's not a 1.0 release. In fact, most of the Ashes of Creation Steam page is literally a disclaimer saying this game isn't done yet. But as the age-old saying goes, you only get one first impression, and the impression that I'm getting from everyone who's following Ashes very closely is that they think the wider audience out there will not be impressed by the product that they're about to pay money for. And a poor first impression, especially on Steam, tends to lead to a lot of negative reviews, which can often translate to a steady decline of the game, unless the core foundation is actually good and it improves over time, in which case you can turn things around. All of that said, maybe everybody is wrong, and I genuinely hope this is the case. I hope that the build version Intrepid pushes into Steam Early Access does have enough content at high enough quality that players, myself included, are satisfied with their purchase. We're going to be finding out very, very soon. Ashes of Creation will be coming to Steam Early Access on December 11th. Strap in, get ready. I'm here for the ride either way, I suppose. But I want this to be good. I want to be satisfied, and I hope it delivers. All right, next up, we've got the next major update for Path of Exile 2 coming this month, and I, for one, cannot wait. This is probably the thing that I'm most excited for. This has been one of my most played games over the past year, and I'm still teeming with excitement to play more of the game. Now, as of now, we actually don't know a whole heck of a lot about what is in this upcoming update. There are some high expectations. For starters, we do know that there's a brand new class, the Druid, being added. And with that, of course, means a whole new bunch of different skill gems that people can play around with, no matter the class that they're starting with. And I think probably more importantly is that we are expecting, fingers crossed, that this is going to be the update where we start to see some big revamps to the current end game, which at the moment is really mainly just pushing through mapping, engaging with the various map mechanics like Breach and Expedition, and ultimately working towards taking on pinnacle bosses and getting your best in slot gear drops to have your build really come online. Now, a few days from now, on December the 4th, Grinding Gear Games is going to be hosting a live stream, and this is where they're going to unveil details of the next update, followed by the usual lengthy Q&A session, and ending with them releasing the official patch notes. So we will know exactly what is coming not too long from now. All that info is about to come out. I'm definitely looking forward to jumping back in either way, but yes, fingers crossed we do in fact get a bunch of new content beyond the addition of the Druid class. The update itself is set to go live on December 12th. This also coincides with a free weekend, so if you've been interested in trying Path of Exile 2 but have yet to pull the trigger on actually purchasing early access, you're gonna have a few days to check it out for free, and I definitely recommend doing so. Finished or not, this game's fantastic. I've got like 400 hours into the current early access version of the game. I expect many more 100 hours to come in the future years. So yeah, I really love this game. It's great. All right, so that does it for the main games that I'm most excited for this month, but we've got a fair few honorable mentions as usual. Guild Wars Reforged is an updated version of the original game with a few tweaks, improvements, and a new bundled package. Now, before you get overly excited, this is not a full-on remake or remaster of Guild Wars, but rather it is a slightly updated version of the game. The basic TLDR of what Reforged actually brings includes there are some visual and technical upgrades like dynamic sky bloom effects, new ambient occlusion, and lighting updates that take better advantage of modern GPUs. Other visual touch-ups include refined textures that will make for a cleaner visual experience. They have rebuilt the audio system with some new environmental effects as well as new positional audio support, which will make the world feel more immersive. Some UI enhancements including HD skill icons, larger text options, and some quality of life improvements like new quest tracking and directional systems. And they've got full controller support as well as the game now being officially Steam Deck verified. On top of this, they have bundled the various versions of the game into one lower purchase bundle price. Prophecies, Factions, and Nightfall are all now included as part of the base game purchase, which is going to cost $19.99. No longer will you need to buy these things separately, and also all of them bundled are cheaper than they were prior. Guild Wars Reforged will be launching on December 3rd, available on Steam or the Guild Wars website. Also, anyone who already owns the previous version of the game will get all of these improvements and bundles at no additional charge. Echoes of Elysium is a co-op airship survival RPG. I feel like there have been several games with this exact premise released in the past few years alone. Guess we'll see where this one lands. Here you will be building and customizing a floating fortress, gathering resources, and exploring a vast procedural clockwork world with up to 6 friends. You will of course build airships. This will act as both your base as well as means of transportation. You can customize every part of the ships, even expanding your fleet into multiple ships and upgrading weapons and various components. There's also going to be different ship classes. You've got things like slower fortresses and nimble raiders. You'll be taking on the Armada. This is a faction of enemies that swarm the skies and provide a constant sense of danger, along with constructing these large hostile towers that you have to either avoid or try to raid. And there's plenty of progression systems items, you'll be leveling up, unlocking new abilities, and of course, crafting gear. I know I joke about there being a lot of games with this exact premise, but I must admit this one does look decent at least. Echoes of Elysium will be coming to Steam Early Access on December 4th. Octopath Traveler 0 is the latest installment in the acclaimed Octopath series. This one has us experiencing a story of restoration and retribution over the Divine Rings. The game keeps up with the series' familiar HD 2D graphics, this kind of fusion of retro pixel art with 3D CG, along with role-playing using path actions and the break and boost systems in battles. Some features new to the franchise include character creation, where you can now choose your appearance, voice, motions, and more. There will be town building as you construct a home and invite your companions to join you. Over 30 allies to find and add to your party, and a brand new skill system learned by allies and passed on to others. Octopath Traveler 0 is coming to PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch on December the 4th. Routine is a first-person sci-fi horror game set on an abandoned lunar base. You'll be playing as a cosmonaut whose facility recently went completely quiet. Upon arrival, you are searching for answers to then quickly find yourself being stalked by a deadly unknown enemy. The game pulls some heavy visual and design influence from popular 1980s science fiction. This is meant to be a very immersive exploration horror game. They've got no waypoint markers. Just finding your way through the environment is a big part of the experience, forcing you to slow down, observe your surroundings, explore carefully, and review data to find a path forward. You'll be roaming through contrasting sectors of the lunar base, from deteriorating living quarters to tram stations and an abandoned mall, investigating your surroundings and uncovering crucial information to progress and piece together the events that unfolded before you arrived. There is rather minimal UI help to create this kind of gripping atmospheric experience that forces you to pay attention to your surroundings, and you've got this cosmonaut assistance tool which you use to access critical terminals, navigate the environment, identify clues, and spot enemies before they chase you down. You know, I'm not really super into the horror genre, but I do think this one looks pretty cool. Routine will be launching on December 4th and is coming to PC and Xbox. And then finally, there's a early playtest that I wanted to tell you about this month. PUBG Black Budget is an upcoming extraction shooter and a new game set in the PUBG universe. They do have 2 rounds of closed alpha testing that's happening this month, but here's some info on the game. They say it's a 2.5 by 2.5 kilometer open world island that features varied biomes, points of interest, and underground facilities. Sessions last roughly 30 minutes and are a combination of exploration, combat, and extraction. You've got the persistent inventory. You'll keep what you extract, but lose everything if you die. They've got level and squad-based matchmaking for up to 3 players and 45 players per session, dynamic PvPvE encounters against other contractors, and various hostile entities. There's an anomaly that gradually shrinks. This is your restricting circle, creating tense and unpredictable scenarios every time you run. And apparently they feature difficulty scaling that increases with player level as well as time spent inside of matches. As for the tests themselves, the first one will be running from Friday, December 12th to December 14th, and the second test goes from December 19th to the 21st. These tests will be held for PC via Steam and include players across North America, Europe, and Asia. There will only be first-person perspective supported for these tests. I assume this means they're considering third-person for future tests. You can apply via the Steam store page, and also if you want to be guaranteed access, they will be doing Twitch drops once the tests go live. I mean, I'll definitely check it out. I have a lot of fond memories with PUBG when it first came out, and I mean, I don't know, it looks kind of neat, so we'll see. And that about does it for this month's list. Thank you as always for checking it out. Looking forward to this. It's kind of a slower month, and most of it is front-loaded into the first couple of weeks, but there's definitely some things here I'm really excited to jump into. I want to give Cloudheim a shot if I have some time. I think checking out Ferocious would be pretty cool. Pretty much the same with Skate Story, and I expect most of my time this month will be spent with Ashes of Creation as well as the Path of Exile 2 update. And then lastly, if I have time, I think the PUBG extraction shooter sounds like it could be worth a shot, and I'd like to check out Guild Wars Reforged. That's kind of my tentative plan for the month. But yeah, that does it for today. As always, guys, if there's any other game besides what's on this list that you're looking forward to that you think is worth keeping an eye on, let me know below. Happy to find some more stuff to play. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Take it easy.